What's up, hot dogs? Welcome to the first ever episode of the Wave Around Show on YouTube, brought to you by 350s. I'm Bo. The other guy is Josh. Let's get into it. So like we mentioned on this week's podcast, we're going to kind of shuffle the order of things a little bit around. So our YouTube channel is going to become more of a Draftkings and our race predictions after we've seen the first practice and qualifying. So why don't we just go ahead and get right into that?
All right, so let's start off with our plays, stayaways, and bracket busters for this week. So my first play, not surprising, been on this guy all year, all three races this whole long year. Ryan Newman, $7,200.
Oh my gosh. Ryan Newman is your first must play for DraftKings?
Yeah, listen to me. Hear me out.
Jesus, dude.
7,200.
This is going to be a long episode.
7,200. Great value pick.
Right.
He starts in the back. He's a veteran. He's really confident in his car that he's going to move forward. So he's going to get those passing points. He's got an average finish in his last three races of 12th here. So, for me, he's a lock, especially at 7,200. Good value play.
A lock. That's bold. He'll show up on mine in a minute, but definitely not a must play. Ballsy move for the first one.
Thank you. I appreciate your.
So, I went out on a limb for my first must play. I wanted to go with like Harvick or Brad or Kyle, but they're just way too expensive, in my opinion, to make a formidable lineup. With that being said, you'll see my lineup later and you'll see what I mean. So my first play guy, so I'm going way out on a limb here and I'm going to go with Martin Truex Jr. as my first must play driver this week at Vegas. He's a little over 10,000, so he's 10,100. His last three races here, he's been first, fourth, and third. He did qualify 23rd today, which is towards the back, obviously, but I think that's in his favor. I think he gets up front decently early. I think there's an early caution for whatever reason this race. I think he gets up front. I think he leads some laps. And obviously, starting 23rd, getting up front, he's going to get a lot of points for position. So yeah, he's coming off a good week last week. A week that he's probably disappointed that he didn't win, and he's looking for that win. So he's my first must play.
Yep, I agree with you. I have him as my second must play this week. Because like you said, he's got a decently high price tag, but it's almost worth it this week from where he's starting 23rd.
Right.
He's going to have that points differential. It's almost worth stacking the top end of your lineup and paying down for somebody else just for those passing points alone, because you're going to make up for that somewhere else, I believe. So he's definitely a solid pick. He's definitely worth a $10,100 price tag this week.
So my second driver, since Truex was your second driver, my second must play this week is a guy who in the past couple of races here at Vegas has had tremendous success. That is Kyle Larson. So he's 9,800 this week, a little bit more expensive than what he was last week, but his last three finishes here are second, third, and second. So, I mean, basically all that's left is a win at this point. He qualified 7th, so he's got a good car. I know in practice he was like 26th or something along those lines, but I just think he's got a good car. And I was nervous at the beginning of the season with how he was going to run with the package. We saw at Atlanta it wasn't too big of a deal. Obviously, it wasn't the full package like we've talked about, but I think he's going to run really well here because he has for the last couple of races here. So must play number 2, Kyle Larson.
Ironically, that's my third must play, Kyle Larson.
I told you we have the same guys. I could feel it.
$9,800 for a guy that has a chance to win this race. That is a quite fair price tag. So I'll keep it short there. Kyle Larson, my third must play this week.
Just to touch on the 9,800 you said, there's like 5 guys ahead of him who are more expensive. So 5 or 6, one of the two. I think it's 5. You're looking at like your Harvick. Harvick is like a couple thousand more expensive than him.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think Larson in himself is almost like a value play, compared to how cheap he is to some of the other bigger names for this race. But with that being said, my third must play for this week, you went with Ryan Newman pretty low. I'm kind of going a little higher up than him, with Eric Jones. He's 8,400. He's ran well at Vegas in the past. He doesn't always have the best finish, but he's had good cars here and he's ran well. He qualified in 18th. So kind of the same thing we mentioned with Truex. He's going to go through the field, get those points. And I think another super big thing that helps this week is we've talked about how the new package kind of runs like the trucks did. Well, when Eric Jones was with the trucks in 2014, he won this race. So, good sign there.
So those are our plays this week, so let's head over and look at our stayaways. So my first guy that I ain't playing this week is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. $7,900, and that's a bit much for a guy whose average finish here is like 26th. So
let me get this straight real quick. Are you talking crap about Ricky Stenhouse Jr.?
I know he's not gonna help me. He's not gonna help me out when I need it the most. But
bro, you better hope this doesn't get back to him because he'll never draft with you again.
I know I'm under the bus now, and he's never gonna work with me again. So I'm sorry, Ricky, but it's just the
first episode, and we've already burnt that bridge. Well done,
man. I'm sorry, Ricky. You know I care about you a lot. Just not enough to play you this week.
Well, I will agree with that pick because, like I said, I swear we have the same guys. We never checked this beforehand, but Ricky Stenhouse, Ricky Spinhouse, Ricky Wreckhouse, whatever you want to call him. The last one didn't even make sense, but he just wrecks people a lot. So he's expensive. He's $7,900. That's way too much for him. He's super aggressive. I think his aggression kills him this week. He qualified 8th, and he was 12th at practice. And you probably look at those numbers and think, that's pretty good. It looks like he has a good car. But just for reference, his last 2 races here, he qualified 7th and 14th, finished 14th and 30th. So he almost falls down twice as much from where he starts. So if he qualifies 8th, you're looking at least 16th for him this week. Last week, he qualified great again, and he fell down. I see the same thing happening this week, so stay away from Ricky Stenhouse on and off the track, probably.
I'm going to assume that we also have this guy as well, Clint Boyer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, $9,000, way too much for him. He's not a good value at all. His average finish here is 17th in his last 3 races, so I'm staying away from him.
So you know the reason I stayed away from Boyer is obviously because, like you mentioned, he doesn't have the best finishes here. The last 2 races, he's been 18th and 23rd. He qualified in the top 15 on both of those races, so he falls back. And I think the biggest reason I did it was because there's 2 guys under him that I think are super good picks this week who are cheaper with Eric Almirola and Eric Jones. So I would go for those guys first before I spent $9,000 on Clint Boyer.
Yeah, he just ain't worth it this week.
So now I'm curious to see who your third guy is because we might just go 3 for 3 on our stayaways here.
I don't know. We'll see. Daniel Suarez.
Nope.
Okay. I really like Daniel Suarez. I just don't like him here. He's not worth the $7,700 with an average finish of 18th here. He doesn't typically run too well at Las Vegas, and I'm not sure how well he's going to run with Stuart Haas. So we'll just have to see. Right. It's not that I don't want to play him. I got to see how he does here first. So just for that, I'm gonna stay away from him this week. I think there's better guys in that price range that you can pick up.
I was actually close to putting him in my lineup this week, but kind of what you touched on there, I don't know. So I don't know. I'm not confident in him either, but I don't think I would necessarily say stay away. My third stay away guy this week is Mr. Vegas himself, Kurt Busch.
Did I convince you after my last week's spiel about how bad on the podcast about his awful finishes here?
So I went and looked at those, and like you mentioned, and here's the thing, he qualified 3rd and 8th for the races last year, finished 35th and 21st. But then even going to 2 years before that, he qualified 17th, finished 30th. So I don't know what it is. It's his home track. I don't know if maybe he feels too much pressure to go out and do something. He qualified 28th this week, so he can only go up maybe, or maybe he hangs around back there. But his paint scheme's awesome this week, so at least he's got that going for him. 8,200 is a little much for me to spend on him. So my first bracket buster guy I went with was Chris Buescher.
Oh, same.
Dude, I swear I knew what you were thinking this week. I don't know why, but I knew it. I mean, the last 2 races here, he's finished 15th both times. I think it could be argued he's in a better situation this time with the new package than he ever was last year, where he finished 15th in both. He had a good week last week, top 10. He's cheap. He's only 6,500, so he qualified 27th. His pass differential points, I think, will go up because he's going to get some points. And he was 10th in practice 1. So I think it's a good bracket buster. It's not going to kill you either way because he's only 6,500. But I think there's potential for him to see a lot of points this week.
Yeah, that's basically what I said. I said he's got a high ceiling, but he also has a pretty good chance of just staying right where he is. So
High ceiling, high floor, probably, I would say.
yeah. So, he
All
could.
right, so who do you have for your second bracket buster?
So my second pick hurts me to do it. Ryan Blaney at $9,500. I mean, not really hurts me to do it. It is a bracket buster, but he runs pretty well here. But he's a bit expensive. $9,500 is a lot. But if you want to work your bracket around him and you think he's good enough to get a top 5 finish, then yeah, definitely work him in. But I don't know. I think there's just a lot of good competition out there this week, and him picking up a top 5, it may not be worth that $9,500 price tag. So
I'd say that's a solid pick. I think the way that I approach bracket busters is just a little different. It's always like, these are guys that I kind of go more towards the cheaper guys and guys that could either give you points or guys that you play as a risk and don't get many points. I think Blaney gets a lot of points this week regardless, but I do agree 95 is a little high for him. But man, Penske's probably going to be good here again, so it wouldn't surprise me. Ford's been good here. Ford's been dominant here. So I literally just thought of that, and I'm thinking of the guy picked to win this race, and he's not a Ford. So we'll see how that goes. But my second bracket buster guy, Paul Menard. He's 6,900, so he's not very expensive. Again, he's cheap like Chris Buescher. His last 2 races here, he's finished 10th. He started 20th that week, and 9th where he started 12th. So he kind of qualifies in that 15 to 20 range, works himself up to a top 10. He qualified 15th this week. I could see him bringing home 8th or 9th. He runs pretty well when he needs to draft for the most part. Don't ask Matt DiBenedetto about that, but I think for 6,900 he could get you a lot of points too. He's good at Vegas.
So my third bracket buster is Kevin Harvick at $12,500. So here's why. Okay, here's why he's a bracket buster. If you pick him up and he leads a bunch of laps all race, yeah, he's gonna get those points. But if he doesn't and someone else like Kyle Larson gets out in front, that price tag is way too much. You're paying way too much for that. So you really need him. If you're going to pay that price tag, you got to expect that he's going to get out, lead a bunch of laps, and going to win the race for that much money. So that's why I have him as my third bracket buster.
That's a solid pick. I like that a lot because of what you said. At his price, like, if he doesn't win the race or lead a lot of laps, he's probably not worth it. So my third bracket buster is a guy that you are dead set locked in on, Ryan Newman. For all the reasons you said, I mean, he's 7,200, so not too expensive. The last 2 races here, last year he finished 11th and 9th. He qualified 25th and 22nd in those. So he qualified 29th this time. He's going to get those points for moving up through the field. And Ryan Newman is just the kind of guy that you literally cannot get by. And with a package like this, I think he gets up front. Not up front. I think he gets in the top 12. And he's just a pain in the butt to get by, man. So I almost went with Austin Dillon here or Ryan Preece. And then there's another guy, Daniel Hemrick. He's looked good in qualifying and practice. I stayed away from him because qualified 5th. I don't think he's going to finish in the top 5. So I think he loses points there. But the reason I wanted to bring him up is because he's in Ryan Newman's car from last year that finished so well here. So
I thought both of those RCR guys were, potential bracket busters this year.
Surprisingly good today.
Yeah, like really good.
1-2 in practice and then 4-5 in qualifying. So,
all right, man. So let's hop into our DraftKings head-to-head lineups here. See how it's looking. So let's just read row by row. I'll start off with my top row here. So my first guy is Chris Buescher.
Say no more. My first line is Chris Buescher.
Interesting. All right, my second guy is Kyle Larson.
Say no more. My second guy, just kidding. My second guy is, I'm taking a risk here because I feel like I always get burned by him, but I'm going to go Austin Dillon this week.
I like it. All right, my third guy, Joey Logano.
Ooh. My third guy, the reason that I'm not feeling so confident in my lineup anymore, Kevin Harvick. I'm doing it.
There you go.
I'm hoping that he leads a lot of laps and it'll make up for any mistakes Austin Dillon makes. And the rest of my guys all start beyond 20th. So hopefully I get those place differential points with them.
My next guy probably make you feel a little bit better. Fourth guy, Michael McDowell.
Yep, I feel way better about that. Wasn't he starting 15th or something like that?
He's starting 16th, so.
Oh, well, we saw how that worked last week when he started 12th.
Yeah, go
finished dead last. So, alright, my fourth guy is Ryan Newman.
I like it. Well, that's my,
No, you do.
That's my fifth guy, Ryan Newman.
My fifth guy is, a guy by the name of Ryan Preece. You may have heard of him. He wrecked on pit road last week, but not this time, buddy.
That's a good solid pick. Are you ready for my my right hand to finish you off this week?
Let's hear it.
Martin Truex Jr.
Hey, right here, same thing, Martin Truex Jr.
There we go. All right, so that's our lineups for this week. We're going to be battling out against each other. So
let us know who you think wins. I don't want to rub it in his face, but I did win last week, albeit in an embarrassing performance for both of us.
Yeah, it wasn't very pretty. We had guys bragging about like how their worst lineup did better,
like 100 points better than ours. So,
well, here's the thing. We did not know the qualifying order at that point. We got to make that clear before we had no idea what the qualifying was last week.
We hadn't seen practice or anything at that point.
Yeah.
We had just.
But this week we got to see the qualifying order. We got to see how guys ran. So it's gonna be a little more competitive. I wish like my lineup this week.
I wish there was a way to see practice 2 and in this case practice 3 because I never trust practice 1 results ever.
No, they're
at least I know where they qualified.
They're in that qualified trim, so you really don't know. They're not in that race trim yet, so.
Right. And we saw how that worked out for Austin Dillon last week. That's what I'm nervous about this week. He's going to come out here and just drop straight to the back and yell at his guys because he trusted them. So.
All right, man. To round it out, who you got winning this week?
I have driver of the number 19 car, Mr. Martin Truex Jr.
It's a good pick.
He's not a Ford, but.
Oh, those Gibbs cars they're solid. Well, I'm really going to go out on a limb here. Nobody probably expected this, but I'm going to try to go for a two-peat, pick the winner back-to-back. So I'm taking Kevin Harvick this week.
You're picking Kevin Harvick to win, but you didn't put him in your Draftkings lineup.
I mean, he ain't worth the money.
Interesting move.
Here's the thing. I'm trying to beat you somewhere else.
You just trying to beat me anywhere.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If he does mess up, my lineup is screwed because other than Martin Truex Jr.,
that's a lot of
I'm
value.
not confident in anybody else getting me more than like 25, 30 points. So,
well, for NASCAR's sake, let's hope he doesn't lead. You know, probably for your sake, you wouldn't mind if he led every single lap, but for NASCAR's sake, I hope he doesn't lead every single lap.
I'm probably not putting any money down on that lineup. So, like, if he doesn't, no harm, no foul. But it'd be nice to see any of our lineups get over like 230 this week because we struggled last week. So.
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
Let us know what you guys think. Send us your lineups on Twitter.
Yeah, remember to like and subscribe, and we will.
That's at 3fivespod.
Yep, that's on Twitter. Everything will be in the link in the description. You can click on it, head over to our Twitter, all that stuff. So check that out in the description below. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Be on the lookout for our Sunday morning tweet at roughly around 9 o'clock Eastern time where we ask you who the winner of the race will be. Pick the correct guy, and you could potentially have a shout out on our show, just like our dude Chucky Dub did last week.
Yeah. So we'll see y'all next week. Take care.
See you guys.
Meow. All right.